It might help if I unmute my mic. Howdy, guys. How are you guys doing today? What's going on? Let me move my mic a little bit. What's up? We have got Sandy and Nether with us. We got a few others. Probably hadn't said hi yet, so that's okay. We got some people watching on Twitter and on YouTube. Fun times. Hey, Das Boot. Nothing's going on other than power outages. Glad you got your power back. Hello, guys. Oh, boy. There's so much to talk about. So I thought I would have some fun things to discuss as you see in the title. There's acid squirting lobsters. We're going to talk about that today. And hey, Nate, what's up? Nate's here. KCA Randy, what's going on? Stool is here. It was Stool's birthday yesterday, so there you go. Happy belated birthday, Stool. He's a birthday Stool. I've asked if he's going to level up to dining chair soon. So there you go. Acid squirting monster sounds like the alien movie. Well, it's acid squirting lobsters, not monsters, but we're going to talk about acid squirting lobsters. We're also going to talk about why it is, people think they're abducted by aliens. And also, I didn't put it in the title, but a neutron star has been observed being swallowed by a black hole. We're going to talk about that as well. I might briefly mention the Bezos thing, but there was so much media on that. There was more media about Jeff Bezos going to space in like the span of a day than there was about climate change for several years. So I'm just kind of like, what do I need to say about it? I mean, he freaking looks like Dr. Evil, and Dr. Evil did it first. So I think he's made a meme of himself even further, and I don't even think he cares. I just, it's really, really just, I just don't even want to talk about it anymore. But we will also talk about the recent thing with Dr. Fauci in Congress. I'm so proud of Dr. Fauci for taking off the gloves. He was like, I have had it with Rand Paul. And I'm like, Dr. Fauci, me too. Me too, man. Me too. I'm a Fauci fan. I'm a Fauci fangirl. I need to put that on a t-shirt. Walk around. Hashtag Fauci fangirl. Yeah, he didn't technically go into space. He didn't cross the Kármán line. Yeah, he almost got there. But, they already have the vomit comets. You know what I mean? If you want to feel weightlessness, you just get in one of those. It's part of astronaut training. You can go in there. OK Go did an entire video. It was Zero Gravity. What's the name of the song? The video is amazing. They're in one of those airplanes that, just consistently does 0G. It just up and down. It's why they call it the vomit comet. It's meant to simulate zero gravity. And then people end up getting sick on it because it's like your stomach is constantly going up and down. So best not eat before you do that. And if you're not familiar with that band, OK Go, they shoot all of their videos in one shot, and it's amazing. And they're extremely intricate. Their Rube Goldberg machine that they did for This Too Shall Pass. They did one that was optical illusions called The Writings on the Wall. They did another one with a high-speed camera that filmed the thing within like 25 seconds. But when you slow it down, it's the entire song. It's amazing. And I would rather talk about OK Go than Jeff Bezos. I guess we're learning that right now. So I'd rather talk about them because they actually show lots of different science concepts mixed to music. And it's just cool. They go on tour, and one of the guys in OK Go develops apps. So they sit there and they will plan out mathematically what they need to do in advance, and then they just shoot it all in a single shot. And they do get different sponsors to help them do that. But then the cool side is they go through and they talk about and explain how they did the thing, which it's just awesome. And they currently have an art project that's going on to try to keep music and art in schools. And so teachers can use some of the materials that they use to kind of incorporate it into their classrooms. So I'm a big fan of OK Go. If you haven't seen any of their cool videos, check it out. I could play a little bit without music, but I don't want them to strike my channel over that, but y'all know how it is. So that's way more fun than frickin' Bezos in space. And I will say this much. The fact that he thanked the Amazon employees for paying for his trip, I'm like, they didn't have a choice. Bezos wasn't paying them a living wage. Yes, the band with the treadmills. Let me pull it up over here. I'll pull up their channel and then I'll mute them a little bit They have done a lot of work since the treadmills. It's called Art Together now, and they've got the OK Go sandbox. Art Together now. So they did, let me share my screen. I'm not going to share the audio because I don't want to. All right, then. I am sorry about that flashing. But this is the one that they did where they're up in space. I'm going to skip this. Video will play after the ad. We're going to skip that a bit. I don't want to play the sound because I don't want to get struck. They shot this in zero gravity. Okay, they shot this in zero gravity. There were no wires or green screen. Upside down and inside out. They've also simulated LED lights with dancers. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. But here they are. And they use Steadicam. Essentially, they use a Steadicam to do this. But this is 0G. And they plan all of this. This is all one shot. So if we're going to talk about cool stuff, you know, hey, Christina, good morning. We're going to talk about cool stuff with people who are actually using resources to educate others instead of Bezos. Please watch OK Go. They actually have a charity called Art Together now, where they're trying to bring back art into classrooms, music, all forms of it. And so it's like the vomit comet. Jeff Bezos could have done something like this and it would have been a lot cheaper and he could have paid his employees more. But, you know, whatever. I like the very end of this. They start open up piñatas and got bouncy balls everywhere. It's just great. It's just great fun. So you guys check out OK Go. They do like way, way cooler stuff. I don't want to spoil all of that for you. Yeah. Well, that may be a heartier brand of music, but OK Go is like super nerdy, wonderful sciencey stuff. And it's just a blast. And so they continue that trend of making videos all in one shot. So, hello, Mr. Shadow Kitty. What's going on, guys? So, yeah. We do need, I guess I can turn on my chat here. Turn the chat overlay on. It'll pop up over here. I forgot to turn it on. Now that they are outlawing teaching American history, we really need to push for greater funding for better education. They never fully taught American history in the classrooms. Having been a former high school teacher and having gone to high school in America, there's a lot of stuff that they left out, quite a bit that they left out, including massive portions of the civil rights movement, including all of the horrible things that Christopher Columbus did, including all of the horrible things associated with slavery. They just touch over it a little bit. They just touch over it a little bit. They don't really get into it so much. The whole American education system is terrible. So that's all I have to say about that. That is all I have to say about that. And I'll bring up something that has, you know, just a little bit for some social media stuff that I've been going through lately. It's pretty funny. Well, it's not funny. It's actually pretty awful. I'll bring it up in a little bit. But let's get into a little bit of where is my video clip's not up here. Well, that's fine. I'm gonna have to download my video again because I lost it. I really need to get a file on my computer. Since I fixed my computer, I haven't like redone all the files and stuff. Bezos in Space is that sequel to Muppets in Space. Hey, don't hate on the Muppets. That's an insult to Muppets. Gonna go for it. And hello, by the way. Hello, by the way. How you doing? So, you know what? Maybe I can just play it this way. Let me play it this way. That way I don't have to download it. I can just share it this way. I'll share it this way. Now it's time for a little bit of this. It's time for some weird science, man. Time for some weird science. Time for some weird science. So, we got some strange news, some strange sciencey things. Oh my goodness. Where's the beaver? What are you talking about, Peter? That music had a good beat. Weird science. Ooh, it's my creation. Is it real? It's from a song from the 80s. But I wanted to kind of do a nod to the 80s thing without getting, hey, you're not allowed to use that some music, you know. Nather says they also seem to not teach English and math properly in the US. I can't believe how many people online do not know that. They can be singular or the difference between the average and the median. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I have to find my beaver puppet. It's like an actual beaver. I found on Amazon. It's in a kids' toy section, and it's called the Hungry Beaver from Canada. So there you go. How weird is it? It's pretty weird. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Let me share my screen. We're going to first start with acid squirting lobsters. All right. So this title here, hey, nerdy rodent, what's up? So this title here, acid squirting land lobster from hell, you know. And if you want to do it with like a heavy Southern accent, you could say, acid squirting land lobster from hell, you know. You could really just take it over the top. It's the acid squirting lobster from hell, y'all. You know. Hey, harmonica man. So let's watch this. This is what he looks like. And so the beaver is awesome. I also have a puppet named Mr. Celery that I like to pull out from time to time. And then, you know, Mr. Celery sometimes likes to mansplain to me, which is funny, I think. Southern Belle speak. Yeah, that, you know, I could do a whole thing just on the Southern accent. Maybe I will. It's pretty interesting, the history of it, and how people often get it wrong in the movies. But here you go. How closely related are cockroaches to lobsters? I could pull up, you know, the phylogenetic tree and we could take a look. You know, every once in a while, my Southern accent, my strong people are like, you have an accent now. And I'm like, it's so subtle. It does look like a scorpion. I can't say words today. I'm going to drink more iced coffee. All right, so let's watch this. This is the acid squirting lobster. This is from Big Bend National Park. It's so scary. Is it scary though? Yeah, lobsters are pretty much sea insects. I am going to have nightmares from this photo. That's enough internet for today. We have them in La Mesa. We killed a couple before pest control told us that they killed other bugs. Now we leave them alone. Relatively benign unless you happen to annoy them is a pretty good description of me. Me too. Yeah. Oh, scared. Are you scared? That's from ABC 13. You know. Ah! Whatever. It's a little jump scare for you at the end. So, oh, goodness. I meant to keep that up here. So, the thing about it, these are called vinegaroons. Hello, raw nakedness. How you doing? So these are called vinegaroons. That's what they are. And this is from Big Bend National Park. I really enjoy our national park system, and it's probably the best thing Teddy Roosevelt could have ever done is to protect portions of our country so we can go and enjoy them as they were, you know, when we first came here, right? All right. Let's see. So summer rains bring these vinegaroons out of their burrows in search of food and love. They just want love, guys. They're about 3 inches long. So they're about that long, you know, about that long. They're not very big. They can pinch with their heavy mouth parts. Those are called pedipalps. Those little things. And they shoot a well-aimed spray of 85% acetic acid, vinegar, essentially, from the base of their whip to protect themselves. So they got their little whip tail. So they squirt vinegar, guys. So they might be handy if you need like some salad dressing and you're out of vinegar. You can just get one of these little vinegaroons, annoy it a little bit, and then you can get all natural vinegar straight from the butt of an insect or, you know, a vinegaroon. Not nearly as the scary acid squirting land lobster from hell, you know, denotes. You know, the title there is just like, you know, acid squirting lobster. It's not. It's pretty chill animal. And the thing that's great, let's see, they eat. Vinegaroons are nocturnal and can't see very well. They hunt millipedes, scorpions, crickets, cockroaches, and other invertebrates by sensing vibrations with their long, thin front legs. Most commonly seen in the desert, this vinegaroon was taking a stroll around the Chisos Basin campground. So guys, they eat the things you don't want in your house. I would much rather have a vinegaroon in my house than those other things. Do not care for the other things. So vinegaroons are pretty cool, guys. Recently I used this in a lecture. I used this in my lectures. this week about vinegaroons because we were talking about acid-base chemistry and solutions. 85% solution of acetic vinegar. That's 15% water. So, hey, Dave Spirals. When life gives you lemons, order the lobster tail. This would be like very vinegary, vinegaroons. Let's move on to the next topic. We like them. They're lovely little things. Let's talk about this. This is pretty cool. At long last, the definitive discovery completes a trifecta of astrophysical events that were forecast by gravitational wave astronomers. Black holes swallow neutron stars in a single bite. New results suggest. So we're getting closer to understanding black holes a lot better. Self-condimenting dinner. Yes, Nerdy wrote it. Harmonica Man with the vinegaroon clip. I'm constipated from the level of cheese in that clip. Oh my goodness. I hate the smell of vinegar too much working with acetate in the lab. That's certainly fair. How many calories are in a neutron star? Well, it depends on how much energy is available for biological systems within a neutron star. And I'm going to say there's probably no calories because, well, how much energy would it take? No, there would be calories, not in a biological system. But there would be calories in there because a calorie is the amount of energy it takes to raise the temperature of water by 1 degree, right? Though if it's a neutron star, it's pretty hot. So lots of calories, none that you can use in a biological system, but there is heat there, right? Lots and lots of heat. Without a doubt, for the first time, scientists have without a doubt observed not one, but 2 collisions between black holes and neutron stars. These 2 separate mergers occurred 10 days apart in January 2020 and were seen by the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory and Virgo facilities, which detect gravitational waves. We can detect gravitational waves, but we've yet to actually observe the graviton, which is the what's the word I'm looking for? Subatomic particle, elementary quantum particle that is responsible for the force known as gravity. If I was a black hole, I would totally pull you to my singularity. Oh my goodness. I have 3 free articles left. Thank you, Scientific American. It wasn't that surprising, but it was just like, finally, it's there. The thing about a lot of astrophysics is most of this is predicted through math and the use of gravity. We know it's there. We know how gravity affects things with mass. And so you can do all these types of calculations, but, until you observe it, you can't say, oh, this is definitively, this is how it does the thing. This is our best explanation. So when you're able to see and observe the thing happen that was predicted through math, it's really, really nice. It's really, really nice when you see this sort of thing happen. Like, oh, the math was correct. So I'll put this link in the chat if you would like to read it. And, I should put the vinegaroons link as well. If we're going to be cool like that. So that way, you too can play around and attempt to scare people. Scare people with lobsters. From hell. That's squirt acid. Reality marked my homework and said I was wrong. But that's pretty cool. So this is a pretty important discovery to see. So you can pick up those gravitational waves and see how they collide. And let's look a little bit about that. Okay, I'm going to go back up here. Let's look a bit at this. All right, so this was from a few years ago about gravitational waves. All you need to know about the ripples in space-time detected by LIGO. That's the observatory that recently observed this discovery. And so there's a lot of information here. Gravitational waves discovered from colliding black holes. Gravitational waves scientists astounded by your interest. So gravitational waves astounded by your interest. They're genuinely astounded that people are interested in gravitational waves. So this is pretty cool. And you can read up a bit more about that. I want to see how the instrument works. Can we find that? Let me see if I can find Caltech. So this is at Caltech. Let's look more about this. I'm sorry, flashing lights. Is that, oh gosh. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I don't know why it's doing that. I am very sorry. It should not be doing that. Okay, so here's the Caltech website. For LIGO, Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory. And here's all the different things that they've been doing. Huh, they got the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2017. That's not surprising. I want to see, how does it work? Classroom activities. Bring LIGO to your... All right, well, that's cool. They got teacher professional development. Each LIGO site offers teacher professional development to teachers in neighboring school districts with the goal of deepening their understanding. Okay, so we've got Washington and Louisiana. You need to expand a bit more. Detection education resources. All right, let's see. So let's have a look what they got here. The general theory of relativity. Okay, so they have two locations, it looks like. The gravitational wave event observed by the LIGO in Hanford, LIGO Livingston. So they're picking it up on the frequency because, you know, that's how it travels in waves. Normalized amplitude. From 35 hertz to 150 hertz over 0.2 of a second. Huh. Boy, that's fast. So GW, I guess that's gravitational wave 150914, arrived first at L1 and then at H1 about 7 thousandths of a second later. So they're detecting essentially the movement of the gravitational wave from Washington all the way to Louisiana. Oh my goodness. 7 thousandths of a second later. That's awesome. That is awesome. 7,000ths of a second later. So here, I'll put the link and you guys can have a look. That PDF. So essentially what's happening is they observe the wave and then they can measure it. I'm just like, my goodness. That's amazing. Einstein was right. Like we had any like doubt. I mean, I know back in the day they had lots of doubts because they're like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. This is why it kind of bothers me that we're a lot of school districts are getting rid of the arts. They're getting rid of music. They're getting rid of visual art. Art is an expression of your thoughts and your feelings and ideas. Art is an expression of that. And even Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge. Because if you don't have imagination, you can't ask the questions that need to be asked. And art helps a lot with that, being able to sit there and question what was the artist thinking, what was going on with this picture. I love asking questions. And I think art allows a space for you to do that more so than just drilling stuff into the classroom. You know, like we're beaten down in the classroom, and particularly in America, we're not allowed to get dirty. We're not allowed to have discovery learning. And a lot of what we use in art, there's so much overlap with science. Science can explain some things because of the inspiration from art. So it really bothers me that, you know, people are like, oh, there's nothing important with art. There's like whole entire divisions of science where they need graphic artists and they need music. Even scientists need to learn how to perform. I mean, I like a good conference just like everybody else, but if you want to make science accessible to the public, you need a freaking artist, you know, a performance artist or a visual artist or, you know, a musical artist. You need that. And if you can't get your science out, you know, you get an artist to do it for you. And so I don't think I would be as good of a science communicator or an educator if I didn't have a massive background in performance art. Creativity is intelligence having fun. Yes, that's right. Gonna go for it. So it's like, it really makes me nuts when I see I'm getting on my rant here, getting my rant on. It really makes me nuts when there's different groups of people. And there's some people in science that say, oh, you know, art is stupid. You know, I can't think of anybody right off. But I've recently was thinking about this because there's this show called Scorpion. It's a CBS show, Paramount, CBS, whatever. So, and they had an episode where they were trying to make security better in an art museum. And the guy that's supposed to have it's based on this, it's based on the life of a guy named Walter who worked with the government as part of a special task force to try to solve problems. He was supposed to have like the second or third highest IQ. It was like 190 or something. And this whole episode, he trashes art. And I'm like, because art's just painting this. I'm like, no. That's probably one of the most ignorant things I've ever heard. Art is so important. And we learn from it. We learn how to connect to other humans. We get imagination from that. It allows us an opportunity and a space to ask questions and to explore, you know, processes of thought. So it just makes me nuts when I see stuff like that. Whoo! I like using science and art. Yes. One of the things that I did when I was doing research, educational research, is try to link content mastery to content interest. And the way that I did that, I used surveys of students, and I told them it's okay if you don't like science. It's okay if you don't enjoy it. Um, just tell me about it. It doesn't hurt my feelings. And so I would do surveys to check their level of interest in science. I would also use their previous scores that they got on standardized tests. And then I went through and did diversification of assignments and instruction. And I based it on the 4 different Lubinsky personalities. You have the artistic expression personality. There's an actual personality for that. You have the problem-solving personality. You have the people who like to talk, and then you have the people who enjoy like hands-on things. So I would develop 3 different assignments after each class period at each class period. And the students got to pick which one they wanted, and they had a choice to work in a group or not. If they didn't want to work in a group, they didn't have to. So that satisfied the talky people, the people who like to talk. And if they worked in a group, they got to pick an assignment, they got to share information with one another. They could either have like a real world problem that they were trying to solve, and they would go through and they'd work together on that. So that was like the mathy problem solving people. And then I would have some kind of hands-on thing for people who wanted to do the hands-on thing. And then I would also have an artistic expression way, whether it was writing a fictional story about how you would tell whether or not a cell was related to plant or animals. Or you could draw a picture explaining a particular concept. And I found that the students who really enjoyed the content did better at that. Now, that should go without saying, right? That should go without saying. That's like, oh, that's a common sense thing. But oftentimes we have common sense things that haven't been proven yet. And I found a way to quantify that. And so I carried that over, even though I'm not teaching high school anymore, I'm on the collegiate level. I've carried a lot of that over to how I teach college. I have diversified assignments. I have opportunities to write papers. I have opportunities to work harder problems. I have opportunities to do different types of things that allow expression and appeal to the different types of personalities. And I find students do a lot better because when it comes right down to it, what is a grade? What is a grade in school or in college or whatever? It's the culmination of evidence to show whether or not a person has mastered particular content at a certain level. So if I have a lot of evidence, then I can go and I can say, okay, and I weigh it accordingly, right? To where I'm not just giving away grades, but it's, I have all of this evidence to show that a person does indeed know what they're doing. Maybe they're not so great at this one thing here, but here's all of this other evidence. And that's what it comes down to. I can't stand the classes that professors have where it's 3 tests and that's it. I'm like, I'm a terrible test taker. I'm absolutely horrible. I overthink every question, and I would probably fail an American Chemical Society test right now for general chemistry, even though I teach it, just because I freak out. I absolutely freak out, overthink every question, second guess, probably would not do great. But I know this content. I know this content like the back of my hand because I talk about it all the time. So the whole idea that freaking exams are the only form of evidence of content mastery is absolutely ridiculous. Which is why, as a professor, you could pass all of my exams in my class and still fail because I don't have enough evidence to show that you've learned something. I need your homework. I need you to show me these quizzes. I need you to write this paper. I need you to do these other things. And then I go, okay, yeah, checks out. And that's also an opportunity for other people who don't test so great to say, hey, I bombed this test, but I promise to know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I log office hours, I log who comes to see me, and I keep all of that. And so if I sit there with a student, I know that this is the people's livelihoods and their futures are riding on a lot of this. So I'll sit there and I'll look at everything and I'll set everybody up for success. But you got to do the work, and that's ultimately what science is. So yeah, it makes me mad. But that was like my research I was doing. Hello, B, not just B. Oh my goodness. Yes, science is art, Nether. You're right. Music classes are the first classes to be cut. Sometimes it's just to put more money into the football programs. I know, Mr. Shadow Kitty. I could rant about that too. I could rant about that too. I know we have other stuff, but I can go a bit longer today. I have cousins. Okay, I have cousins who have been given full football scholarships. I have a giant student loan. So let me just say, I have a giant student loan I will probably never pay off. I'm going to try really hard to do the loan forgiveness program because I've been teaching. I've taught nonprofit. I've taught in education. I'm coming up on my 8th year, 5 years in the public school system. And this will be my 3rd year teaching college, coming up soon. So it's like 8 years. Where do I teach these days? I don't talk about where I teach just because I want, that's a, separate thing. But I do teach college chemistry, general chemistry 1 and 2. Maybe I'll branch into organic, but man, I'm going to have to get over my oh my gosh, lots of horrible memories of organic. Woo-hoo. But my cousins were football people. Were football people, and they had full ride scholarships to college. And it was like almost Ivy League, and they quit because college was too hard. I have a giant student loan, and only me, my sister, and my brother, we are the only people college educated on both sides of the family since we came to this country. And every single one of us had to pay to pay for our college. And then my grandparents, they tend to favor my cousins over me because they're male. And that's a strange thing to like grow up with, that being treated like being a woman is a disability. And they genuinely do not understand how it is that I've gotten this type of education. They don't get it. And even it's been told to me by them that they would have conversations with my male cousins and go, we all talked about it. We knew you were smart, but we didn't think you were that smart. So they have conversations about my intelligence and how they just don't understand how I could do that. I had a pretty high IQ when I was little, to the point they were going to move me to gifted classes for a little bit. And then, of course, you get beaten down enough by the system, you just quit trying, So it's just weird. Speaking of women being oppressed, have y'all seen about what's going on with the Swedish folks, the Swedish team? Have you guys seen that? Have you guys seen that? I'm pretty certain you have. I'm going to pull this up. So, and then I'll catch up on the chat. So I posted this, okay? The Norwegian women's beach handball team is facing fines for wanting to wear shorts instead of bikini bottoms. According to the International Handball Federation rules. The bottoms are not to cover more than 10 centimeters on any sides. For context, a photo of both Norwegian teams. So I called this a war on women. I called this a war on women. And of course, my mentions started to flood with all kinds of terrible things. All kinds of terrible things. It's so frustrating. And you can probably go in and look. And so they ended up getting fined. I think you probably can't see some of the comments because I think the guy ended up blocking me. Men should dress the same in solidarity. I agree. But this isn't just happening in this one part of the sport. There was a woman in the Paralympics who was fined for showing too much skin. It's here. This is this particular article. Here, this one. Olivia Breen, they said her shorts were too revealing, right? They said her shorts were too revealing. They wore actual shorts in this case instead of bikini bottoms. So let me pull that article up. So they ended up wearing actual shorts and they got fined around 1,500 euros. And they had asked, some of these girls in this team are minors, like kids, they're teens. So it's just like, make up your mind. And then you run into situations where burqas, those burkinis in France were banned. And so if anybody was wearing one on the beach, they were arrested. So I say that there is a war on women athletes. And then my mention starts getting spammed by a dude who was like, I'm so sick of that term. And that was his contribution. And then he talked about how he's an ally. And that this is how you lose allies when you use stuff like this. And then you start criticizing us in our terms. I'm like, you are policing. Not only are our clothing is policed, our clothing's policed. Not only that, but then, the way we describe how this sucks is policed as well. You don't like the term I use. Okay, who cares? Well, this is how you lose allies. Well, if you're going to get mad because a woman says, hey, this is me expressing myself, could you not police that? And then you're like, well, this is how you lose allies. Then you were never an ally. You were never an ally. If your ego and your feelings are hurt that much because somebody says that there's a war on women and you hate that term, well, this is how you lose allies. You were never an ally. You got your feelings hurt. I'm not going to walk up to a person who is a Black person and say, well, I don't like the way you use that term. There's not a war on Black people. That's not what it is. And then if they said, well, how could you say that to me? This is my personal experience. And I would say, well, this is how you lose allies. Then I was never an ally. You don't do that. You don't do that to people. So I get back into it a little bit. And later on, I post this. Okay. And then I go through and I tell a story about the whole modesty culture thing. Here it is. So here I'm like, okay, I'm saying it's systemic. So French police make woman remove clothing on Nice beach following the burkini ban, right? So, okay, it's systemic. And so I go into a thread shortly after that. Where is that thread? Where I tell a story about being a teacher. So we had a dress code at the school where I taught at, one of the high schools that I taught at, I won't say which one, where I couldn't have straps that were smaller than the width of a dollar bill. So it's like about that. I had to have straps that were that wide. I had to have skirts that were no more than an inch above the knees. And that was required. One time I wore a light colored dress, and you could kind of see the color of my underwear underneath. I got sent home for that. I got sent home because of that. You have to change clothes. You can't wear that. And it was like a loose dress. It didn't even fit it wasn't fitted in any part of my body. It was just flowing. It was all flowing from here down. Okay. And it was long. Like, you can't wear that. We can kind of see the color of your underwear a little bit. And in the same school, there was a student who had expressed to his mother that he had sexual thoughts of me. And you expect some of that to happen sometimes with teenagers, but it bothered her so much, she wanted her son removed from my class. And I was like, okay. Well, the principal told me about it and said, well, this is bothering this mother-in-law, but I stuck up for you. I'm going to leave that boy in your class because our more attractive teachers get better results on standardized tests. My principal thought they were doing me a favor by saying that. That was them sticking up for me. Our more attractive students do better. Our more attractive teachers, their students do better on standardized tests. So we're going to leave them in your classroom. See, I took up for you. They thought that's what that was. And I'm like, what? And so that student ended up yelling out profanities in my classroom, sexual profanities, which, had to remove them. I mean, but he didn't learn. He didn't learn anything in my class. And all he did was distract everybody else with his behavior. And somehow that was my fault. So I'm in a school where they will send you home if your underwear you could guess what color underwear I was wearing underneath a light colored dress. They would send you home if you had spaghetti straps. I had to put on a sweatshirt once because my straps were smaller. They were like 3 fingers instead of 4. They made me put on a sweatshirt. So I was degraded by my own principal in not only how I dressed, but also that objectification and sexualization of me was fine as long as it helped the scores be better. We can't win. So when somebody's in my mentions going, it's not a war on women, I'm like, but isn't it? You don't like this term, but this affects us. This affects me. This affected me in my job. And it affected my other students too, because I was allowed to be objectified. And that was what the principal thought was okay. But God forbid I have straps that are 3 fingers instead of 4 in width. And so I'm just like, we can't win and everything is always our fault. So it makes me mad when I get stuff like that in my mentions on Twitter. And it's nuts. Yes. So I'll put the chat back up here. Nather says, as much as I enjoy a nice behind, it is ruined if the women are forced to show it off. I mean, and also, if you're worried about how your clothes look all the time, you're not going to do as well. If you're afraid you're going to have a wardrobe malfunction, and you're not going to do as well if you feel like you're being ogled at. You know what I mean? Ugh. Check my Twit DMs. Somebody sent me something about nanobots. Okay, B, I will pull that out. It is absurd rules. Yes, but then women walk out of the door scantily clad. They call them sluts. And it's always their fault. It is always their fault. Man, Harmonica Man says, it's raining and flooding here. My signal is fading. Have a nice day, everyone. See you later. Yeah, teenage boys have raging hormones. Even wearing a burlap sack can't fix that. That's the point. I mean, that's true. They do need to raise their students better. Hey, Donald. It was 1920 zone. For a while, my friends called it Pantygate, where you could see a little bit of my underwear, like as far as the color. Not even if they were granny panties or not. It wasn't a see-through dress. You could just see a little hint of color. And so I got sent home over that. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, yeah. Wardrobe is a big issue. And so it makes me mad when people on the internet just sit there and just, I'm just like, man, for real. For real. For real. Come on. Okay. Let's, now that I've yelled about that, I wanted to get that off my chest. Okay. It's done. Awesome. Take a swig of my iced coffee. Oh, just couldn't those people that have the problems looking at underwear like that instead just glue their eyelids together? Here's what's ironic. The school that I taught at still had corporal punishment. So you could get a spanking in high school. Yeah, just take that for a moment. You could get a spanking in high school. So instead of detention or you could just go to the office and they could just spank you with a paddle. Yes. But, they get spankings, but it's my fault if they perv on me. But it's also a good thing because they will do better on the tests. Oh my God. And y'all wonder why people don't stay teaching in kindergarten through 12th grade, man, for real. For real. All right. Let's get back to some weird science, and then we're going to talk about Fauci. We're going to talk about Fauci and how awesome he is. And I'm so proud of him for taking off his gloves and just, I was like, knockout to Rand Paul. That was a KO in that court going on there. All right. Alien abductions. Alien abductions. Ooh. The truth is out there. The truth is out there, and it's great, isn't it? I'm going to put this over here because it'll be easier. So have a look at this, guys. Have a look at this. Okie dokie. I need to make this a bit bigger. Alien abduction stories may come from lucid dreaming study hints. People have described bizarre extraterrestrial encounters that take place in a dreamlike state. I dare say, possibly, what I go through, which is sleep paralysis. So scientists guided lucid dreamers to emulate encounters with aliens and UFOs during REM sleep. And here, you're partially aware when you lucid dream, and usually I lucid dream. And I've learned how to, when I have sleep paralysis, I've learned to lucid dream going, okay, I'm asleep right now, so it's not so bad. But while you're lucid dreaming, you can use that awareness to manipulate what happens in the dream. About 55% of people experience lucid dreaming once or more in their lifetimes, and 23% have lucid dreams at least once a month, according to this 2016 study in the journal Consciousness and Cognition that analyzed 5 decades worth of sleep research. So this one. So the research comes from the Phase Research Center, a private facility in Moscow, where that research is lucid dreaming, conducted experiments with 152 adults who self-identified as lucid dreamers, instructing them to find or summon aliens or UFOs during a lucid dream, the scientists reported July 2nd. Okay, let me open this up. Let's see. Can we see the paper? They found that 114 of the participants reported dreaming about having some type of successful interaction with an extraterrestrial. And of those, about 61% described meeting aliens that resembled extraterrestrials from science fiction novels. Hello, Critical Cripple and Doc Fearsome. What's going on? I don't know if I said hi to you before, so I'm saying hi now. What's up? I do need a Dr. Fauci action figure. And if you know where to find one, shoot me a link, man. So what's that mean? What's it mean? What's it all mean? Well, when you lucid dream, you can manipulate your own dreams. I have done that. I actually did that last night. I had a dream that I was in a house that was full of ghosts, and these were creepy looking ghosts. And it actually turned out to be pretty funny. It was a funny dream. So these creepy ghosts were running around and they were trying to scare me. So all I had to do was like yell at them and say, no. And then they ran away scared. And I was like, if I say no, and I was thinking, if I say no really loud to these, I can use my voice and these ghosts are going to run away scared. And that's exactly what they did. And then I thought it was funny. And so then I thought, if I laugh at these ghosts, they're going to run away too. And so they got their feelings hurt because I laughed at them and said they weren't scary. So lucid dreaming, that's the whole thing that bothered me a lot about Inception. They were lucid dreaming, but they couldn't dream in like doctors and medical technology to save people from dying in the dreams. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. You can do all this other stuff. Why not dream in superhero powers? Make people, like bulletproof. So I couldn't buy into Inception because I do know what it's like to lucid dream, and I do it all the time. And then sleep paralysis. Of those who describe their encounters as realistic, also experience sleep paralysis and intense fear. That's what I have go through. You're completely frozen. You start to hallucinate with your eyes wide open. You're still asleep, but your eyes are open, and you can see portions of your room. You can see different portions of different things. And you can see actual entities, and you're like, oh my gosh. No, I didn't just actually wrestle a fire elemental in hell, but my brain came up with that. So people with fantastic imaginations, sleep paralysis can be just awful for them if they're not aware that they're asleep. So yeah, guys, not super shocker about this. I always thought, so a lot of those people who are like, I was frozen and I couldn't move when the aliens came and got me. It was sleep paralysis. It was sleep paralysis. That's what that was. It's all right. You're going to be okay. Let me catch up on the chat. Let me see. That sounds like out of D&D. It might be, man. I had sleep paralysis one time where a bunch of monks were standing around me chanting. And I'm like, wow, this is new. And some were sitting on my dresser and just watching me. Another time I was being held down by a demon. That wasn't cool either. I didn't like that. But once you figure out that you're asleep and you're having sleep paralysis and you can't move, you're like, oh, I'm doing this now. Clockwork soul sorcerer. Possibly I might be that class. Oh my goodness. I am blocking some folks who are spamming me on Twitch, I'm gonna block. Man, I'm getting spam on Twitch. That's not cool. Insidious Viz, what's going on? I always thought lucid dreams were fake. Not at all, man. Oh, and sleep paralysis is terrible. I've had some cool dreams, but never anything like that. Oh gosh, I think I told about a dream I had like last weekend where there was an underground society, and you could tap your existence into like a downloadable character and be a video game, so you don't die of like illness or anything. But the poor people did that, and the rich people got the health care. So I'm just like, that sounds like a movie I should write, you know? So if anybody's curious, I meant to share this with you guys. Here's the paper on the lucid dreaming. Apparently, you too can have access to it. Emulating alien and UFO encounters in REM sleep. So you can check this out. I'm going to have to go through and read this. So they went back through and looked at previous studies, as you do. This study was conducted from February 2019 to April 18th, 2020, in the form of a field experiment. The Project Elijah website, which unites hundreds of PS practitioners from around the world, was used as the primary tool for collecting data. Project Elijah continually conducts various tests related to PSS and reports the results, which promotes the gathering of statistical data. And this was an online resource and is available in English. So you can check out this resource as well. 152 volunteers. PS being lucid dreaming, I guess. 41% self-identified as that. They did chi-square tests for their statistical analysis. I'm not surprised at all by this. I'm not surprised at all that this is a thing. It's not surprising in the least bit to me that they do this. Hello, surf. I have to learn this. It's fun. How to self-induce alien abduction. That's right. Nerdy rodent. You can self-induce your own alien abduction through lucid dreaming. You just say, hey, aliens, come and get me and save me from whatever my nightmare is. And you can go to Alien Happy Land if that's a thing. Maybe they have, wouldn't that be cool if they had like an alien theme park, like where aliens go? It's like aliens go their own version of Disneyland. What would that be like? So if you're having a nightmare, you can sit here and go, hey, I'm going to have aliens help me with this. All right. Well, let's move on to Dr. Fauci. Nina wants to say hi. Do you have thoughts on aliens, Neen? Do you have thoughts on aliens and lucid dreaming? You don't have enough information to form an opinion. Well, I appreciate that response, Neen. It's okay. All right. So if anybody, let's see. Let's move on. Hello, old man Dan. With the aliens, help me with my science homework. Maybe. Do dogs dream of alien cats? Nina might. She might very well do that. I want to, let me pull this up. All right. So are you guys familiar with Rand Paul? Let's do this. Let's do this. Are you okay? So before we get into all this, are you guys familiar with Rand Paul and his complete lack of actual science? Hold on. So I went on Twitter, and here's the thread here if you want to have a look at it, what I had to say. Oh gosh, freaking Rand Paul. Rand Paul has been really, really shady in how he has gotten his certification for ophthalmology. He made his own certification board because he didn't like the rules of the recognized one. And there is some misleading information because this was all based, and this is from Snopes. This was all based on him saying that he has a biology degree. And the Washington Post came out and was like, no, Rand Paul does not have a biology degree. He doesn't. And so he went around saying that he had a biology degree and he understands all of this stuff and he understands the science and he understands, epidemiology. I got a biology degree. I know what's going on. No, you don't, Rand Paul. You don't even have a biology degree. And so there's a mixture. There's some people that say, well, he got a medical degree. That's the same as a biology degree. No, it isn't. A medical degree, and if you're specialized like an ophthalmologist, okay, he got a medical degree in eyeballs. Man probably knows a lot about eyeballs. I believe you there, Rand Paul. But he didn't like the fact that he had to get professional development to retain a license. Okay. So in 1999, Paul set up and was, quote, certified by the National Board of Ophthalmologists, NBO, his own certification organization. He made up a certification organization because he didn't like the American Board of Ophthalmologists rules. Paul, his wife, and his father-in-law were listed as being in charge of the board. However, Paul wasn't certified by NBO alone. Until 2005, he was also certified by the ABO, though he let his certification lapse. He remained certified by the NBO until it was dissolved in 2011. So he wasn't really certified until much later. ABO stepped up, and apparently he decided to follow their rules, and he got certified by them. But even though he let his certification lapse, and he also maintained that, a lot of pseudoscience. He was often maskless during the pandemic. So this little meme was going around, and it was a bit misleading. Oh gosh, whatever. And then he started going around saying that he had a biology degree. Rand Paul does not have a biology degree. He dropped out of undergrad once he got accepted into med school. And you don't have to have a degree in biology to get into med school. You don't. Here are all the different degrees you can have in order to get into med school. And this comes from the AMA. They go through, and it's an organization, that works with medical students. Most of the time, you get a degree in biological science. But the most common majors, math and statistics, specialized health sciences, humanities, you can have an undergrad in humanity and get into med school. Social sciences, physical science often doesn't have anything to do with anatomy or biology. Sometimes it does, but not so much. You don't have to have a biology degree to get a medical degree, which means, but it makes you more competitive if you do, okay? It makes you more competitive if you've had A&P and pharmacology and evolution and virology and immunology. I've had those classes. I didn't have pharmacology though. But he is coming off thinking he's some kind of expert in biology because of this. No. He dropped out. He doesn't have substantial amount of chemistry. Once you get into med school, your focus is your focus, right? Much like any postgraduate degree program. And Dr. Fauci is absolutely correct in this video. We're going to go through and break this down, where he says Rand Paul has no idea what he's talking about. And Rand Paul's lying. He is lying. He doesn't have a biology degree. He doesn't understand any of the science associated with the COVID-19 virus or coronaviruses. He doesn't get that. And we're going to talk about that. Where is it? We're going to talk about this gain of function. He doesn't understand what that term means. He doesn't understand what molecular biology is. He doesn't have a solid grasp of zoonotic diseases. He still practices and says he performs surgery on children, but, as pro bono work, but nobody can find evidence of that over the past few years that he's done any pro bono work. And this is true. I would sooner let my Chihuahua explain zoonotic diseases to me and the public before I would listen to Rand Paul. Why? My dog has heard plenty of lectures about COVID-19 from me, as well as world-renowned interest. She has more of an education on it than Rand Paul does. And she listens. She listens. So yeah, I'm hazing Rand Paul pretty hard. And also, if you're like, well, maybe he's not lying. No. He was fired from Washington Times for plagiarizing his own column. He plagiarized his own column and they let him go. WashingtonTimes.com. In Senator Rand Paul's column amid plagiarism allegations. They're like, you stole people's stuff word for word and said it was your own. So he can't even write. And he's like, well, I got a degree in English too. No, he was a double major in biology and in English and never finished school. He skipped the line. Once he got into med school, he just dropped out of his undergrad program. He didn't even get an undergrad in science. He skipped the line. He's not qualified to do anything except maybe talk about eyeballs. And I don't even know if I would let him do that because he seems vastly ignorant and unable to, update his own professional development or even listen to actual scientists and people who know what they're talking about. So Rand Paul can go do one. I'm just saying. So let's look at a bit of this video here. So here we go. Here we have Senator Rand Paul.
Viruses that in nature only infect animals were manipulated in the Wuhan lab to gain the function of infecting humans.
No, this is not true at all. Coronaviruses, and this right here shows me this man does not know what the heck he's talking about. Zoonotic diseases are diseases that can transfer from animals to people. We already know that. The Wuhan lab has been studying coronaviruses and bat-originated viruses for at least the past 7-8 years, okay? And what the Wuhan lab was doing at the time was looking at the emergence of different proteins on the outside of the virus. They were looking at it on a molecular level. They weren't doing gain-of-function research. Gain-of-function means, okay, so they were going through and trying to manipulate and figure out if they can guess what the next evolutionary path of the virus would be by manipulating it to see what would happen if they made it more infectious. That wasn't what was happening at the Wuhan lab at the time. They were studying things on a molecular level to see how, essentially the new proteins that were popping up on the bat virus, the coronavirus. And the fact of the matter is, zoonotic diseases They already transfer to people. They didn't just suddenly make this disease, oh, hey, it's exclusively in animals. No, it's not. It has always shown up and been transferred between animals and people. Rand Paul is stupid, and he's being willfully ignorant, and he's intentionally misleading people by distrusting Dr. Fauci, who, by the way, was one of the few scientists who actually took HIV seriously in the 80s. Okay. And also, that man, Dr. Fauci, has faced the Ebola virus face to face. He's put on the gear and gotten on the front lines himself. Where's Rand Paul? Skipping college, trying to get into med school, skipping the line, can't even write his own words. He does not understand what the word gain of function is, and he has no idea what zoonotic diseases are. Okay.
This research fits the definition of the research that the NIH said was subject to the pause in 2014 to 2017, a pause in funding on gain of function. But the NIH failed to recognize.
Now, they did pause research on gain of function, but this was largely due, and when it happened in 2020, that was the Trump administration who put the pause on that. I'll show you my sources here in a second. And it's a fact-checking website that calls out bad science and stuff. We'll get to that.
This defines it away, and it never came under any scrutiny. Dr. Richard E. Bright, a molecular biologist from Rutgers, described this research in Wuhan as the Wuhan lab used NIH funding to construct novel chimeric SARS-related coronaviruses able to infect human cells and laboratory animals. This is how
they could already do that, Rand Paul. That's what zoonotic diseases are. They're diseases that start out in animals and can be transferred to people. We already know this. They didn't make that happen suddenly. They were studying the process of how it happens. It already happens. Oh my God. I mean, rabies. We can get rabies and bat rabies. There's no cure for bat rabies. Bats get rabies. Guess what? They bite you. You get the bat rabies. And there's no cure for that. There's no vaccine. There's no treatment. You just got to ride it out and hope you don't die. So, I mean, come on. But bat rabies incidence among people is very low in the US. I'm just going to throw that out there. And bats are really good at eating mosquitoes, which carry also zoonotic diseases like the West Nile virus and the parasite that causes malaria. But whatever, Rand Paul, you tell us how smart you are.
High-risk research that creates new potential pandemic pathogens, pandemic pathogens that exist only in the lab, not in nature.
No.
This research matches, these are Dr. E. Bright's words, this research matches, indeed epitomizes, the definition of gain-of-function research done in.
No, it doesn't. Okay, Rand Paul, I used to work in industry, and I worked in a lab where we had access to Ebola. Okay, we had access to Ebola. They were in freezers. We could go get it and thaw it out. I mean, you just had to know where it was. You know, why don't we blame that?
Entirely in Wuhan.
No, that's not true.
There was supposed to be a federal pause.
You are so stupid.
Dr. Fauci, knowing that it is a crime to lie to Congress, do you wish to retract your statement of May 11th?
Don't do it, Dr. Fauci. You pull off them gloves and punch him in the face.
In Wuhan.
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement. This paper that you are referring to was judged by qualified staff up and down the chain as not being gain of function. Let me finish.
You take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans, you're saying that's not gain of function?
Yeah,
they didn't do that, Rand Paul. That is not what they did. They did not do this.
Is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite.
Yes. Thank you, Fauci. He does not know what he's talking about.
Frankly, and I want to say that officially. You do not know what you are talking about. Okay, you get one person.
Let's read from the NIH definition of gain of function. This is your definition that you guys wrote. It says that scientific research that increases the transmissibility among mammals is gain of function. They took.
He said manimals. The man said manimals, which I think was an 80s cartoon. Okay. He freaking, a congressperson said manimals.
Took animal viruses that only occur in animals and they increase their transmissibility to humans. How you can say that is not gain of function?
It is not.
It's a dance, and you're dancing around this because you're.
This man does not understand what zoonotic diseases are. They're diseases that can transfer from animals to people. They do that already. HIV is one of them. HIV is one of them. We have chimp HIV, we have cat HIV, and we got it from the chimp HIV, the chimp strain of that. We also have monkey HIV.
You're trying to obscure responsibility for 4 million people dying around the world from a pandemic.
And let's let Dr. Fauci.
I have to, well, now you're getting into something. If the point that you are making is that the grant that was funded as a sub-award from EcoHealth to Wuhan created SARS-CoV-2, that's where you are getting. Let me finish.
We don't know.
Well,
we don't
wait
know
a minute.
If it did
I
come
can-
from the lab, but all the evidence is pointing that it came from the lab.
No,
And
it's
there
not.
will be
No, it's not.
responsibility for those who funded the
It is
lab,
not.
including yourself.
I totally
This committee
resent,
will allow the witness to
I
respond.
totally resent the lie that you are now propagating, Senator, because if you look at the viruses that were used in the experiments, that were given in the annual reports, that were published in the literature, it is molecularly impossible.
No one's saying those.
Listen to Rand Paul. He's so stupid. He's so stupid. He does not understand. Hello, low energy videos. How are you? He's like, nobody's saying that.
Virus caused it.
It
No
is
one is alleging that those
molecularly.
viruses caused the pandemic. What we're alleging is that gain of function research was going on in that lab, and NIH funded it.
That
You
is
can't
not-
get away from it. It meets your definition.
It doesn't. It doesn't meet the definition. All right, let's pull that up. Let's just have a look at what we mean here. Let's have a look at what we mean here. I'm gonna pull this up. Okay, let's go to here. Here's factcheck.org, and they cite all of their sources within this. Let's look at this. Gain of function disagreement. Let's talk about this before I do any more of that, because I tell you, Rand Paul makes me want to put my fists through the wall. There you go. We should make that a song. Rand Paul makes me want to put my fists through the wall. Rand Paul makes me want to put my fists through the wall. Where's Hannibal from, Hannibal and Monty's show? We could make a song, Hannibal, if you're hearing me. Rand Paul makes me want to put my fists through the wall. We could do that. Oh, yeah, no kidding. Manimals, freaking manimals. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's the Wuhan lab and gain of function disagreement. Now, this was already posted back in May. Okay, this has already been dealt with, and then it was updated July 1st recently. And you can go through the Eco Health Alliance. That was used to study the risk of future emergence of coronaviruses from bats. In 2019, the project was renewed for another 5 years, but it was canceled in 2020, 3 months after the first case of the coronavirus was confirmed in the U.S. All right. The Eco Health ultimately received 3.7. So Trump canceled the research. So let's just say it. The Eco Health ultimately received $3.7 million over 6 years from the NIH, and distributed nearly $600,000 of that to China's Wuhan Institute of Virology, a collaborator on the project pre-approved by the NIH. We had already been helping them and trying to learn more about the coronaviruses after the first SARS came out. So Wuhan is where the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic emerged in late 2019. And so, yes, Rand Paul is pushing this particular BS argument that COVID-19 came from a lab. Now, Scientific American, has already done a thing, how China's Batwoman hunted down virus from SARS to the new coronavirus. So we have got so much information on this. We have got so much information. You can look at the actual viruses that were studied in Wuhan, and the strains that they used. You can look at it on a genetic level and see that they're different. It's already been shown in Nature, a paper published in Nature. The proximal origin of SARS-CoV-2. It's freaking evolution, guys. Zoonotic diseases do evolve, and they shift and they change. There are so many zoonotic diseases. I mean, come on. And we've already mapped the genome of SARS-CoV-2. We know the genome of the viruses that they used in China. They don't match. Protein signatures on the outside are not the same. So Rand Paul is trying to insinuate this came from the Wuhan lab, but it's impossible. It's impossible. That would require lots of change that's not likely to happen between the two. I think even the mode of entry is different. So here in 2014, government to cease funding gain-of-function studies that make viruses more dangerous pending a safety assessment. So back in 2014, they stopped funding gain-of-function studies. And gain-of-function studies essentially are the types of studies where they go through and they try to predict how the next line of evolution would be, to where they can make a virus more harmful or, spread easier and that sort of thing. So that was a type of research that the US actually did study with, and they funded it a bit, but they stopped it back in 2014. And they're like, there's some ethics concerns here. And so they thought it was unnecessarily dangerous. And so here's another one. Here's another link. This was just itself. Sorry. But this was happening, yeah. But it stopped a long time ago. However, if we go back to the factcheck.org, all of these links are in here. So if you want to click on the link that I posted in the chat, you could do that. That article published in Nature Medicine, March 2020, said the virus likely originated through natural selection in an animal host before zoonotic transfer. They have so many animals in their markets in China, and they butcher them on site. I mean, that's how the HIV virus transferred to people, because people used to eat chimps. I mean, and we're genetically close enough to chimps, we can get diseases from them. Same thing with bats. We can get diseases from bats, from pigs, from all kinds of different animals. And if you have animals that are held together, all kinds of different species that can transfer viruses to each other, and you're butchering them there on site, guess what, folks? You got a hotbed for natural selection to just breed all kinds of crazy viruses that you can catch. That's how it works. But Rand Paul, the college dropout who somehow got into med school without a single undergraduate degree, seems to know more than freaking Dr. Fauci, who was on the HIV front back in the 80s, trying to learn about this virus. Come on, man. Rand Paul is a moron. He's an idiot. And I am so sick of him, and I want to punch him in the face. I can't actually do that, and I'm not going to want to do that because I don't feel like getting arrested by Secret Service. But still, he is lethal. He is lethal. Rand Paul is lethal to our country because of his spreading of willful ignorance, to the point. Guys, The states where Trump actually won in the election has the highest rate of unvaccinated people. And guess who's filling up the hospitals right now with the Delta variant? Unvaccinated people. 99% of deaths now in the US associated with the coronavirus, COVID-19, they're all unvaccinated people. 97% of people getting put into hospitals. 97% of people who have hospitalization from COVID-19 unvaccinated. It's killing them. And it's at the point now where people are begging for the vaccine and it's too late. It is too late. They're all dying in beds by themselves. And so what do? These doctors tell the family members, please go get vaccinated. That's the best way you can honor your dead family member. Rand Paul is lethal because he's continuing this garbage of blaming scientists, blaming the brightest and the ones who care about the people the most, who have been screaming for over a year now, please, let's get vaccinated, get this over here, wear a mask, stay at home. This can hurt you. Rand Paul wasn't doing that. It makes me nuts. Oh, my goodness. I'm so angry. My blood pressure is up. So if you want to go through, we can look down at the bottom with the gain of function talk. This describes any type. Let's just break this down. Gain of function is a term that could describe any type of virology research that results in a gain of a certain function. But the type that's controversial, including among scientists, is research that causes a pathogen to be more infectious. We stopped funding that in 2014. And we haven't done that since. The type of research that Wuhan was studying was the different types of proteins on the outside of the virus, how those were emerging. They were looking at molecular stuff. They weren't enhancing the viruses at all. Viruses are always mutating. They do that on their own. We don't need to help them. So, Dr. Fauci, as far as that grant that they're talking about in this argument that they're having, the EcoHealth grant, there are some people who have differing opinions. Whether research is likely or reasonably anticipated to enhance transmissibility can be subjective. All right. So EcoHealth and NIH and NIAID say no. EcoHealth Alliance has not, nor does it plan to engage in gain of function research. Rand Paul doesn't even know what that term means. He doesn't know what that means. If you're studying a virus on a molecular level, that is not gain of research. That's just learning about the virus and its proteins, its receptors that are on the outside of it. That's looking at its genome. That's what studying a virus on a molecular level is. No dispensation, as no gain of function research was being conducted. No dispensation was needed. All right. And so the director, Dr. Francis Collins, says neither NIH nor NIAID have ever approved any grant that would have supported gain of function research on coronaviruses that would have increased their transmissibility or lethality for humans. Richard E. Bright, a professor of chemistry and chemical biology at Rutgers University. Okay. He said, that's the one person that Rand Paul's got into. Now, keep in mind, 99% of scientists are going to agree on a thing. Then you got the 1% that's running off, who's probably getting funded by the GOP. Okay, I dare say we should probably look into who's funding Richard E. Bright's research. Okay, so he says projects that may be reasonably anticipated to confer attributes to influenza, MERS, or SARS viruses such that the virus would have enhanced pathogenicity and or transmissibility in mammals via the respiratory route. And so he thinks it was unequivocally gain of function research, but he doesn't say why. He just says he thinks it is, but he doesn't say why. It is research. No, but he doesn't say why. And they weren't anticipating or conferring attributes to influenza. If they were going to go through and change the virus to make it more transmissible. That's gain of research. Just studying it and doing statistical analysis as to what it might do using a computer, that's not the same. That guy is an idiot, okay? Then there was another person who thought there might be an accidental lab leak of the virus. Still, even then, they're so different from the ones that were studied in the lab versus the ones that we found in the population. For it to have evolved that quickly to become something different, it's not likely. It's not likely for it to have changed that much. And the mode of entry for SARS-CoV-2, this COVID-19, is completely different than previous coronaviruses, because the way that it enters into the cells is through the ACE2 receptor. And for it to jump so differently from one mode of entry into a cell into another, come on. It's not going to happen that quickly. It's not going to happen that quickly. It's suddenly, oh no, we got a lab leak. Come on. They're pulling out some sci-fi Stephen King crap that's not real. And I worked with freaking Ebola. I had access to it. We have scientists in America and across the world that have access to far worse viruses. Like a lab leak is going to be a problem like this. Come on, man. Are you kidding me? So you can go back and have a look at all of this. It just makes me nuts that this is even a thing that we're having. So let's go back and listen to Dr. Fauci rip into Rand Paul because of it.
You are obfuscating the truth.
I'm not obfuscating the truth.
Senator
You were
Paul's
one.
time is expired, but I will allow the witness to.
Let me just finish. I want everyone to understand that if you look at those viruses, and that's judged by qualified virologists and evolutionary biologists.
Okay, notice Dr. Fauci is saying, okay, you got this one random dude from this paper that said a thing. We have qualified, that's the 1%. The 99% are going, we have evolutionary biologists, we have virologists, we have people who study this. This is their bread and butter, not Rand Paul, college dropout. Come on.
Those viruses are molecularly impossible
No one's
to
saying
result
they are. No
in
one's saying those viruses
SARS-CoV-2.
caused the pandemic.
Senator Paul,
We're saying they are gain-of-function viruses because they were
they're not.
animal viruses that became more transmissible in human, and you funded it.
And you
That's not, he did. So now he first says they made it from being only animal viruses to manimals. He still used, no, Rand Paul.
Don't admit the truth.
and you
Senator
implying
Paul, your time has expired, and I will allow witnesses who come before this committee to.
The lady who's in charge of the talking here and who gets what time should have cut off Rand Paul's mic. I'm sorry, turn off his mic. I would have turned off his mic, but that's probably why I'm not in charge, but whatever.
Respond.
and you are implying that what we did was responsible for the deaths of individual. I totally resent
could
that.
have
And
been.
if anybody
could
is
have been.
lying here, Senator, it is you.
Boom. That's right. And Rand Paul was insinuating that this was implied. And he's like, nobody's saying they're molecularly different. They're molecularly the same. Yes, you literally just said that. When you applied that all of these millions of Americans are dead because of this. Yes, that is exactly what he implied. He's an idiot.
Senator Smith.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you, Dr. Fauci.
Thank you, Dr. Fauci. Look at him. That is a man who has had it. He has absolutely had it with all of this crap. And I got you, Dr. Fauci. Me too, Dr. Fauci. We have all had it with this crap. And thank you for putting up with this crap. Because I might have got full Jerry Springer on in there. I would have just put it, if I was in the background, I would have been climbing up over them seats, taking my shoe off to throw it at Rand Paul. That would have been me, and then I'd be in jail right now, which is probably why I shouldn't be in Congress. And I'd have probably never gonna run either. Oh my gosh. My shoes would be coming off, and I'd be throwing them at Rand Paul. I'd be like, what is wrong with you? You don't even know what words mean. Use the term manimal. Oh! Thank you, Dr. Fauci. That's what I'm going to say about that. I'll turn the chat back on and catch up here. I'm sorry. Oh, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It says a lot. Low energy video says a lot. He is next to a huge amount of Purell and they are all next to coffee cups. No kidding. No kidding. I'd be like, y'all are all like walking around disgusting. Humans are so disgusting, particularly the ones that will not do the things to prevent them from transmitting a virus, like get vaccinated. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm kind of tired of Paul interrupting and not letting Fauci finish. Exactly. Because he's grandstanding. Rand Paul was grandstanding. Mel, you need to read I Alone Can Fix It and see how little Trump took C-19 serious. No, I agree, Insidious Vids. He did not take it serious at all. Hello, Doorknob Head. Oh, goodness. I didn't say hi to you before. Oh, God. I would like to ask Senator Paul, Donald says, how can you get sick from stone and vegetation? You truly can. Molds can affect you, eh? Like other mammals. Oh my goodness. Ethics, methics. That's freaking Rand Paul. I'm so mad. Don't hold back, Mel, Mr. Shadowcave. Man, I didn't. I almost got swearing up in here and I didn't swear. Y'all should be proud of me. Oh my gosh. I'm catching up. Hello, African humanist. How you doing? She let Paul use up all of Fauci's time. No, I know, right, Sandy? She did. She absolutely let Paul use up all of Fauci's time. Oh, I was so mad about that. But yeah, there you go. I'm proud of Dr. Fauci. He pulled off the gloves and he didn't hold back. And I'm like, I'm proud of you because he has had to deal with so much crap that it's just disgusting. So what I want to show you guys, I'm going to show you one more thing. It's almost time to go. Aw, it's been fun. It's almost 2 hours. You can believe that. Oh goodness, I messed up. So let me go under my media here. I'm going to share screen again. I made this video because I'm really tired of the complete lack of oh goodness, let me scroll down. Complete lack of vaccinations in the South, largely due to the fact that, people think it's a hoax. The whole misrepresentation of what science says and everything is alive and well. So I made this. So I made this. Have I seen the recent stats on the death rate? I got the information that I had there. I actually got from NPR. So I can pull that up a bit. Let's see. It was NPR in July, this month. Recent death statistics. COVID-19, July 2021. Here's from the World Health Organization. Let's see what they have to say. Oh my goodness. So 12% increase as compared to the previous week, July 12th through the 18th. Following a steady decline over 2 months, the number of weekly deaths reported was similar to the previous week, with almost 57,000 deaths reported. The cumulative number of cases reported globally is now over 100 million, and the number of deaths exceeds 4 million. This is what we're looking at. Let me see. Okay. So here's the Worldometer one. We've had 35 million in the history of coronavirus. We've had 35,283,729 cases, 662,668 deaths. And right now, let's see. Right now, Texas, Florida, we're not surprised, are we? Let's see. Let's see what yesterday was. Florida, we had 148 deaths. Let's click on Florida. Well, you know what? I wonder. Let me look. Here's the daily deaths graph. Moving average. 7-day moving average. And 10 new deaths. July 23rd, 67,484 new cases. July 23rd, that was yesterday. Um, 64,096 new cases the day before that. We are looking at about 60,000 new cases every single day just in the United States. But notice, and we start to see that steady increase. And what's kind of scary is this Delta variant. This is more transmissible than the others. And so I expect this to probably hit 70,000 probably today, probably 70,000 today. And then we'll be looking at 80,000 each within the next few days. And the thing is, we probably don't have a lot of antibody treatments available unless people who are vaccinated want to start stepping up and offering their antibodies to these people who are not vaccinated, which is a completely voluntary thing. So it's going to come down probably to vaccinated people being asked to donate blood so they can get their antibodies to treat these people who have chosen to not get the vaccine. Ooh, it's noon. Can you hear the tornado siren? They fire it off at noon every day. But there you go. Currently infected. Currently, there are 5 million people infected with the coronavirus. That's what we're looking at. The linear scale. We're going to reach 40 million soon. Oh my gosh, guys. Have you been vaccinated? I have, and I'm doing the happy dance. Ugh. This is all upsetting. African humanist says, the rationale some anti-vaxxers give is disturbing. My friend said, since I've had the second shot, I should stay away from him as it contains the poison that'll kill us all. Apparently the devil lied to us. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's upsetting. I'm the I think I was the Pfizer. I got the Pfizer shot, I think. Yeah. How are these COVID is of the devil folks? So sure they are not the ones possessed by the devil. Think their devil dar was stolen by the devil. It's upsetting. I actually have not been wearing a mask in public, and I probably should, because it's just going to get worse out here. Just to try to be a good influence, but I'm just tired. I'm just tired. And it's really upsetting that people don't get this virus. And then you have people like Candace Owens going, well, you know what? Why can't we make insulin free? Like, she's almost there. She's almost there. It all should be free, Candace. It should all be free. I mean, we already pay for Medicare. Comes out of our paychecks every time we get paid. We already pay for that. Should be free. But there you go. BioNTech. Yes, that was me. I got in BioNTech is what I had too. So, oh my goodness. How freaking upsetting is all of this, man? It's just, I've not heard anyone revamping their massive air handler systems to ensure it's not just pumping the virus around and around. No kidding. I just want to scream. I just want to scream. We've talked about a lot today. Woo, we've talked about a lot today. I'll leave you with a little funny video. This one's pretty funny. This one's pretty funny. This is, the other one was kind of just, it's a bit rough, but here you go. This is one I made too. So here we go. How anti-vaxxers think they look on social media. In reality, it's kind of looking like clowns. Please get vaccinated. Please get vaccinated. Just get the freaking vaccine. You had to do that anyway to go to school. Just get the vaccine. We're all fine. We are all fine. There you go. We are all going to be okay if you get vaccinated. Well, let's read something from Mr. Rogers. We need a little bit of hope in our lives because, my goodness, that was looking pretty grim. If you've been vaccinated, you're going to be all right, okay? It is 100% effective of reducing your risk of having lethal symptoms of COVID-19. You could still catch it, but, it's not going to be so bad. It'll be like, I don't feel so great right now. And then that's it. It's, I believe, 99% effective in preventing infection. So this is the world according to Mr. Rogers, because we need that. The world according to Mr. Rogers. And this is from his section, Challenges of Inner Discipline. All right. Imagining something may be the first step in making it happen. Imagination, right? Imagination is more important than knowledge. Imagining something may be the first step in making it happen, but it takes the real time and real efforts of real people to learn things, make things, turn thoughts into deeds, or visions into inventions, right? Mr. Rogers, was a genius in as far as an emotional IQ. He totally got it with people. And people have done their thesis, their PhD thesis on how he educated others. So one more time, imagining. We need to keep the arts around, guys. Imagining something may be the first step in making it happen, but it takes the real time and real efforts of real people to learn things, make things, and turn thoughts into deeds or visions into inventions. There we go. Oh, goodness. Looked up Mr. Rogers quotes just yesterday. Looking up Mr. Rogers quotes is sometimes my version of watching YouTube kitten videos. It gives you a little bit of hope, doesn't it? And it feels nice. All right. So see you guys later. I'll say you always make each day special for me. You know how, but just you're being you. I'll be back next Saturday. If there's anything you want me to cover, put it in the comments or hit me up on Twitter with the hashtag #HeyScientistMel. Shoot me a DM. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.